Okay, so these are the 6 blocks. Thinking of any yoga class, any long-term class can be broken into blocks of time, because if you ever wonder why, like, I do this, the human mind does really, really well into breaking things into small chunks. Like, it can remember really long sequences of spans of sequencing if you learn to, like, make it into, like, this leads to this, and this set of 5 or 6 or whatever leads to this, and then this set of 5 leads to that. So in this set, I've broken into 6 ways. Now, there are a lot of different ways to do it, but this is just the way I broke this up. The first one is the warrior sun salute, sun A, sun B sequence, which leads to warrior 4. Okay, you can think of warrior 4 as kind of the marker sequence, and then the last part of that is your last fierce pose. Okay, so that ends the block. That
so it goes sun salutation A and B to warrior 4.
A, B to warrior 4, and then the last fierce pose.
And then the last fierce pose.
Yeah, the last fierce pose. Okay, that completes that. Then the next one goes into the side angle, reverse warrior side angle sequence, right? And that sequence ends in Shalavasana. Then your third sequence is really easy to distinguish because it's the balancing sequence. It's the one where you're balancing on the one leg. And that one ends in from, like, it goes into side planks on the left side, and then it ends up in floating cobra. Next distinctive pose, which hasn't been done before, is the warrior 1 triangle sequence. Okay, so that triangle sequence, you end in that forward fold. Right, because you do the forward fold, then you go back to down dog, you come up, back, down, and then down dog, and then you jump through to seated. Once you're seated, you're now in your 5th sequence, which, because it's the first part of the seated sequence where you go into abs. So that starts in boat, right? And then it ends up in the yoga walks. Okay, so that's your 5th block. Think of it.
It starts with boat and then
Ends in yoga walking, like where you're like walking your legs. You know that one? So it ends in that.
got it.
And then your ending sequence, which ends up being in reclining figure 4, right? It starts and then it ends in Shavasana.
The last one is what? Sorry.
The laying down, like all the supine poses.
The shoulder stand?
Yeah, that's like that. But it starts with laying on your back and you hug your legs in. You know that one?
Got
So
it.
that's that figure 4, reclining figure 4.
Okay.
So that one starts in reclining figure 4 and ends in Shavasana.
Reclining figure 4.
And all of the sequences start on the right leg and end on the left leg. And the whole class starts in standing poses and then does all of its seated poses at the end. It's another way to look at that particular, this particular block.
Why is it called reclining figure 4?
Just figure 4, because it kind of looks like a figure 4, like if you look at my legs, right? And then you're reclining, you're laying down. You're in supine.
Oh, and that's when we do bridge too, right?
Hmm?
And that's when we do bridge.
Yeah, when you do bridge, right. So think of that set as, so like, how many of you could definitely remember just that particular set, that ending sequence? You could remember, okay, reclining figure 4, then bridge pose, right? Then shoulder stand, then temple, then lay on your back, twist, twist, Shavasana. That's the ending block.
What's temple?
Temple is where your feet are together and you're in shoulder stand. Is that outline? Because it looks like a temple. Another thing too is think of the symbolism as well. You know, the symbols do help you get through the sequencing because you remember, oh, this looks like a temple kind of. Because if you look at the pose, and like figure 4, the legs look kind of like a figure 4 because one leg is crossed over and your other leg is up, kind of extended a little bit. So that's figure 4.
Got it.
So that's how you remember these blocks. And you just drill through these blocks. So, you know, you could just, what I would do, I think it was I would start with the first block and I would drill that block till like I knew that block like the back of my hand. Okay, I've got this block. Now I've got to go through, so I did that one, I've got to do the second block. The second block is the reverse warrior side angle sequence. Okay, and I drill that until I've got it. Then I put the two of them together. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the warm-up and reverse side angle sequence. And just stop the tape at that point of the tape. Stop the video and just do those two blocks together. Then you'll be like, okay, I've got those. Then you go on to the third, the balancing sequence. Okay, that balancing series, I'm going to master that. I'm going to do that over and over again. You get to the point where like you just know it. It starts on your right leg, and then it ends in Shalavasana after doing the left side plank. That's how you know that one. So you do that one a bunch of times until you got it down. Then you do the warrior 1, 2 triangle sequence. Drill those two. So you drill it till you get it, and you drill those two blocks together. Okay, now you're through like the body of the sequence, basically. All you have left is abs. It's kind of easy. Like abs and the ending is kind of easy to remember, to be honest. But these two chunks are hard. So now you say, okay, I've got the balance and the warrior sequence together. I'm going to try now. I know these. You've drilled each one of these like 3 times. 3 times, and you got them. Now you bring these together, and you go, okay, I'm going to go through these blocks, and you will memorize it, provided you practice in this way. You will remember it. It's a lot to remember all from beginning to end, but it's not a lot when you drill them down, when you break them up into little pieces. Okay? That's the same way you do anything. Like when you do a triathlon, you know, even the beginning of the triathlon is broken down into sequences. That's why when somebody like Lance Armstrong says, thank you, my team, because he's got a team. Like if there's a hilly section, they broke that down and they went, okay, who's good at climbing hills? Joe. All right, Joe, you're good at climbing hills, so Lance Armstrong is gonna draft Joe when you're doing the steep climb. So they break it down. So that's exactly what we're doing here. So you're breaking down a long endurance sequence into small sequences. And then you drill the ending sequence. Now the ending sequence is pretty easy to drill because it is shorter. And it's also like, it's abs, which is really three things. Abs is, well, it's 4, but it's boat, which is the pose you kind of end up in as you jump through. So boat, and then you go from boat position into bicycle, and then you do, and then alternate legs, right, and there are rocks, and the rocking and rolling is in there, in between. And then you rock and roll after legs, and that completes your abs, and then you link these together. So you do the reclining or supine. I don't use the term supine that much because it's kind of an older word, but reclining figure 4, and then that's going to take you through your ending sequence, right? That's your final. So then you break abs and reclining figure 4 through shoulder stand to the twist, to the twisting cat poses, to Shavasana. And then you drill those two together. And then you just break them all together. And then you like get them. And they become a whole sequence. So that is the 6 blocks speech. The 6 blocks are 6 sections. But I like using blocks because we've got blocks in the studio. So if you're wondering, why are they called blocks? Because there were yoga blocks. There's nothing mystical about it. Maybe in 1,000 years when people are practicing it, there'll be some reason we call them blocks, but they were blocks. That's all it is.
Got it.
Okay. So go ahead and pause that one so that we have that just kind of